Good afternoon, good morning. Thank you for invite the IAEA to make a presentation on this topic, safety and security interface. I will describe basically where we are in this topic, what are the most important challenges, and the recommendations after having different steps during the process in the last years. Some background, the nuclear safety and security, has a common objective, basically focused to the same objective to protect people, society, and environment. And many actions from safety and from security are for enhance both at the same time, simultaneously. And there are also specific circumstances where these actions may be not fully in line or in some cases contradictory. I want to say also that both safety and security follow a strategy of defense in depth that basically where we have in both disciplines the layers, different layers or levels of protection. Leadership and management principles for safety and security are covered, basically should be covered, basically for the same management system. And we have a document is a little bit old, but still have some insights on the INSAC 24 that give us basically what are the most important issues on this interface in nuclear power plants, just focused on nuclear power plants. Currently, at the international level, the advisory group on nuclear security and the group on nuclear safety, they are together making a joint report to analyze in the higher level the interfaces between safety and security. The other aspect that I want to mention that from several years, there were different resolutions from different general conferences from the last, let's say, years that they are the member states wants to call to the secretary to recognize if we have these two disciplines are different. We need to continue facilitating with the cooperation with all of you, with member states, a coordination process basically to assess the interfaces in a timely manner, and also they encourage us to develop safety and security publication, in particular focusing where these interfaces are located to ensure consistency and to address the culture. There is an important paragraph in the safety fundamentals that clearly explain that how measures on safety and security has to be designated in order to do not compromise safety or do not compromise security. And this is an important topic that needs to be highlighted. The safety objectives, as I mentioned before, if we take the glossary, the definition in the glossary, the IAEA glossary, you will see that there are a lot of similarities in this definition, and we can play with different intersections between safety and security where it fits better. I mean, but the most important is that, as I said before, that the safety measures and security measures have to have a clear common focus, and that's why we need to work on to ensure that this focus is contributing between the two disciplines. We had more than 1 year ago, I think in end of 2018, the first and the unique, basically, technical meeting, safety and security interface. More than technical meeting, that normally 30 people. This was a kind of, let's say, of a very big technical meeting. I can say that 150 people are participated on that. This is not normal for the meeting, it's more normal for a conference. Therefore, we use the opportunities with such a big number of member states with us. We try to identify the most important interfaces and the current management approaches for facilities and activities, and what are the gaps, where are the gaps, what the most important thing is, what member state understands about interface. What this is the first discussion that we had at the time, and what we can, what are the challenges, what are the recommendations that we can think on this area. Which topics we cover, which areas, the most important areas? Well, basically, the governmental and regulatory framework, in general, for all facilities and activities, the nuclear installations, the radioactive sources and the other facilities and activities, radiation activities, management system, nuclear safety, nuclear security, safety culture, security culture, and the emergency preparedness and response. This is the most important areas that we have very extensive discussion in these topics. What we have today in the agency safety standard and security guidance. Well, there are several, I mentioned the safety fundamentals. I would like to mention that GSR Part 1 until GSR Part 7, all of them, they are have some elements. In particular, there were specific requirements that we needed to be involve safety people and security people together, like GSR Part 1 or GSR Part 7, because there are a lot of topics that are addressing some interfaces or topics that can affect, impact to safety and security. There are other specific requirements that in nuclear power plants, we have design requirements, we have for reserve reactors, we have safety of reserve reactors, fuel cycle facilities, of course. There are some statements where we can link to safety and security aspect that needs to be taken into account. I think that there is a good approach that we have safety and security together in one concept, the code of conduct. Of course, code of conduct is a code of conduct. It's not a convention, but it's something in the middle between the normal document, the convention, and this is something that we are addressing as much as possible, where with safety and security are focused together, I think is in the right manner. In particular, if we address, this was very useful for us in addressing, for example, developing countries where there is one institution from the point of view of taking into account safety and security together. This will be very helpful. And in particular, when we refer to specific facility or source, we need to emphasize how safety and security are addressed in the same time in order to avoid any particular issue or conflicting. There are other documents at level of guides as well, like, for example, a very, very important cross-cutting document is when we talk about design of instrumentation and control of any installation. This is in particular nuclear power. And other guides related the installation where we believe that there is an interface there, of course, under revision, and will include as much as we can the topic addressing interfaces. In the nuclear security guidance, we have the physical protection of nuclear materials, nuclear facilities, NNS 13, where clearly stipulate that the physical protections in physical protection measures should be additional to and not substitute for other measures established in nuclear safety for a new nuclear facility. There are other important guides where we establish infrastructure for nuclear safety, infrastructure for radiation, infrastructure for nuclear security, where this, in a holistic approach, this topic is also taken into account. We need to distinguish between the safety and security first interface from the technical matters, where is totally related to a specific facility or activity and or administrative situations. For example, the agency is not focusing to that safety security organization dealing with safety security should be in the same organization or different organization. We are not. We know that there are different models. However, if there are different models, it's very essential that this, when we focus a particular nuclear material, the safety and security is managed by the same management system and the same in order to be sure that the measures will not compromise each other. And this is very fundamental because there cannot be divorce approach when the member state approach in safety and security. What is the current situation? Well, we have in the agency, different approaches, the very stepwise process to approve safety standards, and a little bit different approach to approve security guidance. And this is written in our process. We call SPES, C, and also A. We establish what are the most important issues to take into account, for example, in the interface between safety and security, focus in SPEC C, where we try to take into account all aspects, not only the agency, also requesting member states when they review any of these documents to address any specific issue that they can consider important or affecting or impacting safety and security at the same time. We already published documents. We are working on documents. We published a document management system of interface between safety and security for research reactors. We finalized the document in publication, regulatory oversight of the safety and security interface for nuclear power plants. We are almost finished the management of interface between safety and security for commercial shipments of radioactive material, and we almost just finalizing the notification, authorization, inspection, and regulatory enforcement for nuclear safety and security of radioactive sources. These are the documents that still we have others. I can mention that the INSAC, ADSEC is, as I said, they're working in this document, high-level document, highlighting interfaces, safety and security interface in the regulatory infrastructure for oversight nuclear power plants, management of regulatory oversight of the first nuclear power plant, and we are establishing, very important, for the first time, a curriculum master degree in safety and security to be used by different universities in the world, where, of course, the interface is one of the topics inside this. There are additional proposals for addressing different topics in documents. For example, managing safety and security interface for when modify nuclear installations, leadership management system, how to address safety and security culture in order to avoid issues. You know that in this topic there are open and transparency in one side, in safety side, confidentiality is almost the opposite in the security side. They should work together somehow. Then we need to manage properly how these two cultures are together in the same framework. And finally, there is one document that we plan to do is around how to take into account interfaces for safety and security when we talk about the different kind of nuclear fuel cycle facilities. Well, there were several, based on all what we said and our conclusion, in particular from the first technical meeting as mentioned before, there are several different changes and recommendations. For example, in the regulatory framework, we have issues that member states highlighted several times on their lack of proper definition and role and responsibilities. When we talk about a decision-making process, when safety or security, who is taking the final decision, The common terminology, this is another issue that the agency also, we are working focus on to have a consistent terminology on safety and security in the glossary, a glossary for both, and addressing basically all publications in order to provide the necessary guidance. And communication, as I mentioned, transparency, confidentiality. We are focused on the issues, how to address this topic in a proper balance with the corresponding publications. In the case of nuclear installations, where there were different things, where we have different kind of installation, and we need to identify where are the opportunities to address the interface and potential impact or conflicts that we need to address as early as possible. I mentioned modification and equipment is also an important. We need to have some kind of international experience and feedback in this topic. There is not many, but some member states request how to share this information as much as possible, in particular operational issues or in different facilities or activities, and how we can assist to member states in different programs. In the case of radioactive sources, there is we try to, when we have training programs, we are trying to addressing of course safety and security together, and we highlight this issue of interface for particular topics, and we need to consider, we are considering as much as possible in this discussion of safety and security when we have the peer review missions. Then to give the awareness of the host country that there are issues that is necessary to take into account. There are other things like in transport, for example, where there can be also some contradicting issues. We are highlighting this in the different documents, in the guidance in particular, but we believe that we still need to consider providing additional guidance in order to avoid this conflicting issue when we talk about safety and security interfaces. Management system in nuclear safety and security culture is also, as I mentioned before, regardless, different organizations, different ministry, different areas that managing one safety, one security, all together, they should have one consistent management system in order to be sure that everything is taken into account. For example, to reconcile the roles and the responsibilities when we talk about safety and security publications, or to consider develop a methodology if necessary to evaluate the culture, or when we are talking about different things, safety and security for both sides, both disciplines, considering the particular interface. Training programs, of course, needs to be done in this particular area. When we talk about one management system, it's not so simple like that. It requires a lot of sharing information and awareness of different groups to explain why, and to be sure to take leadership why this is important, and in order to have to receive the benefits addressing the interfaces between security. Last but not least, in the emergency preparedness response, there are several challenges that we discuss when we consider cross-cutting issues, in particular, regardless of the initiator of an emergency situation, can be from safety, can be from security. This needs to be developed, the response needs to be developed in a very harmonized manner. We are considering different approaches that, of course, there is a need, we believe there is a need, based on what we discussed with our member states, of extensive coordination, in particular when we have to decide during an emergency, to take decisions or managing different responsibilities. When an accident is happening, we need to be sure that what we are going to decide will not affect safety or will not affect security in different manner. It is also, we said, one of the issues, it is crucial that our exercises needs to take into account safety and security and consider the international and regional training workshop in order to highlight this topic, in addition to the traditional training, and we need to conduct the exercises to address this topic. Convex is clearly one of the good examples where we inserted safety security interfaces when we deal with these specific exercises. To conclude, just let me say that you saw that the broad scope of the safety security cover radiation, cover nuclear safety, emergency. The security is a very holistic approach that we need to be aware on that. One of the important things is the role and responsibilities needs to be clearly defined, and the management of interfaces should be addressed, should address conflicting issues at the early beginning of any process, any installations. This will be very beneficial for the future. Things that are not clear in the beginning will be a problem in the future. That's why, in particular, this aspect. A lack of knowledge of the difference between and the specific requirement for nuclear safety and security, of course, will lead to conflicts and communication issues, and will impact in the basically facilities and activities. It is necessary to consider an effective coordination, planning, and communication plans to all levels, to the working level, to the management level, to the top management level, to be aware that there can be things that we need to take into account from the two disciplines. We, the agency, of course, we will continue seeking synergies on safety and security as much as possible. We will try to identify all interfaces that we can work on that, and our member state can address and share with us. And of course, we will try to provide our guidance as much as possible, as soon as it's clear, we have a clear topics, in order to share the information with our member states. Well, thank you very much, and I hope that that's clear. But if not, you please contact me anytime. I'm coordinating the safety and security at the IAEA, at the Department of Nuclear Safety. I'm more than happy to continue this topic. That's still a lot of things to do. Thank you very much.